Please like and subscribe and share so I can think my dad is cool.
What is up? Shop Talk podcast. And once again, we're live from the workbench. Jesus, I'm getting it wrong already. Can someone please help me? So this guy that I used to work with, he's so like, can somebody help? Are they gonna help me? A lot of stuff to talk about. Letter to, well, it's not really a letter. I should just say it's a message to the Golden State Warriors fans coming up. Also, we have some NBA offseason trades and signings. Josh Hart and the Lakers. Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. That was July 1st. I missed that one. 1-star review. I was going to do 1-star Yelp reviews on some strip clubs around town, but I couldn't find anything really funny. But I guarantee if I went on a national list, it'd be hilarious. So we are going to also, I'm going to show you how to buy some gold, like if you worked at a pawn shop, or if you were just, you could work at a jewelry store. It'd be the same thing. It wouldn't matter. And then also, check out the episode of What's for Dinner. It's Italian subs, oven-baked recipe. Not greasy, non-greasy, blah, blah, blah. So, first off in the NBA news around the league, we got Kawhi Leonard traded to the Raptors for DeMar DeRozan and Pirtle and a first-round pick, I believe. I think both teams are winners in this trade, but I think DeMar DeRozan may be the biggest winner in the whole trade. I think he was kind of stuck in Toronto by his own admission, committing and signing a long-term deal with the Raptors. DeMar is healthy, super Kawhi Leonard has to prove that he's healthy, and that if he even wants to play there. It's a big win for the Raptors if he decides to stay. I say it's a loss, even if he chooses to leave. And also considering DeMar's loyalty to the Raptors. But, you know, he's an LA kid. Maybe somehow I know he's got a few more years left on his deal. Maybe somehow he works his way into LA. Let's see how loud this is. Why can't I not hear it? Jesus. Now he's using his own children. Okay. It's not that loud. Let's go back. That's a little bit better.
Where's my cat?
Yeah. Then you want to go Thunder agrees to trade Carmelo Anthony to the Hawks with a pick for Dennis Schroeder and Mike Muscala, where he will be a free agent once the Hawks waive him, and he will still walk away with big money. He met with Houston Rockets in Miami and LA. A lot of people think Houston is the first option. Comments around the league and ESPN about whether he can adapt his role, probably as a sixth man. Listen, he will adapt. He's always been successful. Now, he's never came off the bench in his whole career. But again, you don't know his mentality at his age. And you don't really hear too much about him from the press, outside of basketball. So I think he's a lot more mature than a lot of people think. Listen, he could go anywhere and make it work. You know, I was thinking this earlier, not that he would go there, but hell, the Trailblazers, he'd be a great match for them. Let's see. I think he did it in OKC as far as adapting, playing the 4 when he's never really played the 4. And Russell Westbrook was going to, he's going to get his stats. He didn't care. And you got to remember, all that stuff on paper doesn't exactly mean everything. And if Russell Westbrook played a little bit more of a complete game, and I know I'll get a lot of shit for that, meaning doing stuff that doesn't make the stat sheet, the team would have already went much further in the previous seasons. I also think the Rockets losing Trevor Ariza, a very underrated player, and signing Melo, I don't think will put them over the hump. I mean, maybe if somehow Ariza stayed and then they picked up Melo. Oh, on to some more news. Jabari Parker signs with the Chicago Bulls. That's a great signing. By the way, injury prone, but very little risk. But his comments, his comments, verbatim here, they don't pay players to play. Jesus Christ. They don't pay players to play defense. I don't know. 3-and-D players, they do, because that's all the league's looking for. I wish the players around the league would all play defense. And a lot of it has just to do with hustle and trying and effort, and not just relying on raw defensive talent. Not turning your head around to talk to the ref as you briskly walk back on defense when you don't get the call that you want. Stop bitching and play the game. Yes, this new generation of refs, which they almost all of them are, make some really bad calls. Get back on D and stop complaining to the refs. LeBron James and Kevin Love are all very guilty of this. Actually, this is all around the league, and I've watched NBA basketball my whole life, and it's very upsetting. While you're complaining, you didn't get the call. Guess what? If you complain, yeah, you might get the next call. But how many times are you going to do that in a game? You're going to do it, say, 10 times in a row. How many calls did you actually get by complaining? I could see it doing once or twice in a game. I can see if it's blatant fouls. Sometimes it is. But get back on D. And a lot of the times, the other team ends up scoring anyways. Excuse me. But for some reason, next year, I don't think LeBron will be complaining. And, we'll see. I don't know why. I just thought of that. But I don't think he'll be complaining as much. Maybe if he listens to this and gets back on D. I mean, yeah, he does the chase down block. But, hell, Ricky Davis was doing that before LeBron. Not saying anything about LeBron. So we might as well get right into the Lakers talk. Josh Hart wins MVP of the Summer League. And I will say he had some lights out shooting. I mean, I was really amazed. Actually, the whole team, and sad, I can't remember the team they were playing against. Both teams, lights out shooting. I mean, obviously. Magic Johnson made comments about training camp, and Josh Hart is coming for the starter's job, which I definitely think he improved his handle and ability to create his own shot. But you got to check out his Twitter. First one. I'm going to prove a lot of people wrong. Believe that. Believe that. He didn't say that, but he said believe that. On to the next. And I read this wrong. So first, before I get any backlash, it says, I did my push-ups for them miss free throws. Okay. I read that wrong and thought he said, I did my push-ups and missed them free throws. So I thought he did the push-ups and, shooting is all muscle memory, and a lot of shooting, as far as free throws go, is really muscle memory because you're from the same spot every single time. You might be a half inch off here, half inch off there, but it's not like you're, shooting 30-foot, 28-foot threes. So one more thing. All on the Lakers. I know Ingram is only 20, plenty of time for growing, but some people on their 2018-19 NBA 2K rosters have him listed at 6'11", which he very well could be, being 6'9" last season. However, it was super big news a few years ago when Paul George grew 2 inches in the offseason. I think he was going from 6'7" to 6'9". It was fucking huge news. It might have been 5 years ago. I can't remember. It was I want to say it was the season right before he got hurt. But it was big news. I mean, and about updating the rosters and blah, blah, blah. They have all these other people on their team that are now on the 2018-2019 NBA 2K rosters that get the guys who were 6'9" last season. Okay, I can understand if you were young, but I mean, it's gotta get more accurate. And I also heard on the 2019 NBA 2K stuff is going to be kind of off. A lot of people are complaining already. So a lot of players are listed like this on their rosters. While KD really close to 7 foot, some say 7-footer, listed at 6'9", why he is really 6'11". I just wish the league would stop over-exaggerating players' height, much how wrestling, yeah, you've heard it, I was going to say WWF, but it's not. Wrestling has always exaggerated height and weight, but they have a lot more reason to do it because it's kind of fictitious and blah, 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 and you're trying to build up the guy. But this is real life. I mean, who cares if a player is really 5'11", but you have him listed at 6 foot? And I know a lot of it, too, is the player. Yeah, I'm 6 foot. They always used to have Larry Johnson, LJ, Grandmama, listed at 6'7". And 1 year he was 235. He ballooned up, but he was a fucking monster and huge, and just nasty big. Went up to 275, and then I even seen a video of him talking about where he was 6'5", Who the
fuck said that?
So yeah, we got to do that. And we have a little bit of MLB, other weird back-ended contracts. Happy Bobby Bonilla Day,
What?
Where's my cat?
Bobby Bonilla, where's my cat? So I was unaware of the story. I knew that he played for the Mets. I'm a little bit older, probably some people out there listening, but I didn't know he played there twice. I don't follow MLB probably as much as I should. I can watch it, if I'm drinking. The games are long. So the second time he played with the club, he was on the manager's Bobby Valentine's bad side, to say the least, and he was benched. Played cards in the dugout and ultimately refused to pinch hit while they were in the pennant race. The organization went to him about deferring his contract. And this is where it gets... You guys got to check this stuff out. So rather than being on the back end of a deal, they deferred the contract. The amount that he was owed was $5.9 million. They agreed to 8% interest. I didn't even write this right. Whatever. Look up Breaking Down Bobby Bonilla Day. And if you don't know how to spell his name, it's Bonilla Day at the ESPN archives. You can find that on YouTube. It's like 10 minutes long, but it's very interesting. So he gets paid $1.2 million every year for 25 years, more than $30 million. Again, he didn't walk away with his $5.9 million right away. This kicked in so many years after it. So you got all these guys with the similar type of deferred contracts throughout sports, like Kevin Garnett, Wayne Gretzky, Derek Jeter, Ken Griffey Jr., Gary Sheffield, and the list goes on. Completely amazing. You got to check it out. And on to the next thing. I wouldn't really call it a letter to the Warriors fans. Maybe just more of a message.
Who the fuck said that? Who's the slimy little communist shit twinkle?
Yeah. I mean, here we go. So, Boogie Cousins, and this, I know, this is news from a week ago. Boogie Cousins, the emotional lesbian, does an exclusive interview with ESPN from Steve Kerr's office. This wasn't the big news. It was his comments about signing with the Golden State Warriors. Probably, and I will say this, to be frank, the most hated team in the league right now. They were hated before Cousins signed there. And then after that, if you see some of these NBA players' reactions, oh my God. Like, they didn't know it was happening. They're all freaked out. I think you could look up league reactions. And his comments were, I knew how it would be perceived. I don't give a fuck. I knew where my ace was and made the call. Yeah, so there you go. Oh, which I can't stand DeMarcus Cousins, first of all, mainly because he has a piss poor attitude. But I don't mind his comments, and I think it's his prerogative. But it also reflects his personality, his I don't give a fuck mentality, and that's just his overall attitude. I don't. What the hell? I don't think he cares about winning as much as he's tired of losing. If that makes any sense. I'll say it again. I don't think he cares about winning as much as he is tired of losing. But I do think his piss poor attitude will fit in right along with Draymond Green, the donkey, the nut kicker. And I don't like sore losers. And I really don't like sore winners. Sorry. Yeah. Like Draymond, doing the chicken dance, flopping his arms like a cheerleader with Down syndrome. That's right. I was going to say retard, but that's wrong. With Down syndrome. A cheerleader with Down syndrome. Not to mention KD and all the rest of the Warriors just being altogether unsportsmanlike. Cousins will fit right in. You got your player. Just like they were doing anything, trying anything in their power, clapping at the other team's disgrace. I mean, come the fuck on. Champions. Act like champions. So, now we're going to get into a little how to buy gold like a Pawn Star. But that, I don't even think I'm going to use that title because that's so horrendous. So, you're going to need a few things if you're going to buy gold. Whether you're at a pawn shop or you work for a jewelry store or a refinery, you're going to need some stuff. So, what will you need? And I've got, you could go about it. You can get expensive stuff. You can get cheap stuff. I've got all cheap stuff to go right along here. And first thing I've got, now this is just if you're buying gold. This might actually have a silver tester in here. I don't know. But it's just an El Cheapo acid kit that has, most of the time, if you work at a place, they're just going to have 10 karat acid testing stuff and 14 karat maybe. But they really should have 18 karat because you'll come across that too. But they probably won't have 18 karat. At least the place I worked at didn't. And I would tell them, I even told the people that worked there for 4.5 years, well, they make that kind of acid, and they're retarded. They had Down syndrome. I'm sorry, I just said the wrong word again. So this kit in here has 10 karat, it has 14 karat, it has 18 karat, it has all these different types of gold. And then it actually has a gold testing stone, which you would scrape your bracelet or whatever you're going to attempt to buy off the person against. I don't like those. I like these El Cheapo. This is a 10-piece needle file. That's what it says. But it's really just a jeweler's file kit. Has 10 pieces in it, all different shapes and sizes. I like using the ones that aren't so damn rigid. And yeah. And then, of course, you have a loop, but that's only going to be for diamonds and stuff. That's not diamonds. And then a scale. And actually, the scale is actually kind of expensive. I found it in the place that I currently live in. And it's reading unstable right now. So, beforehand, what these acids do, you scrape them. You scrape your piece of jewelry with your jeweler's file. And then you put, say it is stamped 10 karat, 14 karat, 18 karat, 21 karat, 22 karat. A lot of times you're never gonna see pure 24 karat. Most likely you won't. But 95% of the time, it will be stamped with what it is. Even actually, if it's fake, they're going to try to pass it off as real. But what I like to try to do, before I attempt to purchase something off of somebody or pawn something for somebody, is to weigh it and come out with an agreement about how much I'm going to lend to them or I'm going to buy from them. And it shouldn't matter much either way, other than if they have pawned that there before and you have some record of it, which it will be in your computer system, blah, 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 blah. So, of course, this shuts off if you don't use it right away. Let me get a drink. I'll be right back. Yeah, it's disturbing.
Who the fuck said that? Who's the slimy little communist shit twinkle-toed cocksucker down here?
And if you're in some Russian pawn shops that you work at, you will already be drinking maybe some vodka before you're actually doing this. So, keep that in mind. So, I've got a bracelet here. Let's see. And it weighs 33.8 grams. And a lot of times what you're going to want to do, which that's a heavy bracelet. So, say it's 10 karat gold, for instance. If you're buying or pawning, of course you're going to want to fill out the customer. Sometimes they don't value their piece as much. If there's a lot of damage and it's been worn a lot, it's worn out, the clasp was messed up, all kinds of different things, you want to take that into consideration. And say it's 10 karat, well, you're just paying $10 a gram. Okay? So say it weighs 33.8 grams. A lot of the time you might offer them $330. But usually, if you're loaning or buying, a lot of the time the customer doesn't know how much it weighs. And even if they do, a lot of the times they'll go, well, how much is gold an ounce right now? And they don't understand, well, you don't have pure gold. So, and you might not understand that too. So that's why I'm here telling you. So, you have 10 carat and you have all these different little algorithms about, you could pay 11 point or $12. You don't have to figure that. It doesn't have to get that extensive. You again, there are many different methods to buying gold, but if you want to keep it simple, say it's 33.8, and I could tell the guys like, yeah, I found this, and this is my grandma's, and I don't need it, or and I offer them $280. It's 10 carat, and they say okay. Well, okay then. Well, if they don't say okay and they're about to walk, yeah, I'm going to offer them the maximum amount that I would offer them. And if one of the places I worked at, we had a pawn shop right across the street, and they paid pretty good money for gold. So we had to be competitive about it. So they were, like on 14 carat, they were at like 15 something and for a gram. So that's what one thing you want to look at. Another thing too, say you're doing your acid test, you scratch it with your jeweler's file. You never really want to scratch on the clasp because sometimes they'll have a clasp that is real, or they had it repaired at a place and they put a course of a real clasp on it. Well, you kind of want to go, if it's links or anything like that, you kind of want to go a few links in. I want to do it real close to the clasp. Try to find an inner part of it. If it's a ring, you want to do it on the inside of it. And again, if it's not stamped, and you will come across stuff, maybe 10% of the time that's not stamped, but you really want to go over each piece and take your time. You're on there on the clock and you want to get the customer out as soon as possible, but you don't want to risk taking in a fake piece of gold and say it was 10 carat and it was 8 grams. You just paid them $80 for it, and it's fake. Every single time you want to test it out. Now, if you know the customer and you know the item, that's a little different. You don't want to keep scratching something and devaluing it, especially if it becomes into your possession. Now, a lot of, I had one buddy that started a pawn shop down south, and he didn't know what a refinery was, and I probably shouldn't have told him, but I did. And at that point, there are different refineries that pay different amounts for different things, but usually all the refineries are in the major towns, and they are really competitive about how much they pay for stuff, how much they pay for scrap gold. And that's essentially what you're doing. You don't ever want to have a piece where you have more money in it than what you can scrap it for. And you also don't want to sell an item, a piece of gold, piece of jewelry, anything that's personalized that has engraving on the inside of it, say a ring, anything that's personalized, a charm, they have their initials, even some earrings are like that. You're going to have a real hard time selling that. So you're going to want to sell it to a refinery anyways. So you're not going to want to pay more than someone else is going to pay for it. And also, you're a pawn shop or you're a shop. You could even have a buy and sell trade shop where you also buy gold. I've seen antique places. They buy gold. Some of them even buy silver. But these are all things that you're going to want to know. So say it's 14 karat. You're probably paying at least $14 a gram. Now, however, and I know it sounds shisty, but it is your job, whether you're the owner or whether you're just an employee there, to make as much money as you can possible. So if you're offering somebody $13 or $12 a gram on 14 karat, there's nothing wrong with that. If they're going to walk, the only thing that's wrong with it is if you don't offer them the maximum amount if they're going to walk. Now, on the other side of that, too, this should also help people that are selling gold. A lot of times, people are selling gold is when they came across it, they found it, it was inherited to them. And then in that case, I would say hold on to it. A lot of these people have gold parties and stuff, and they go around and they buy your gold off of you. And I don't know. It's a little unethical, but at the same time, everybody has to make a living. Well, that guy that's coming to your gold party he's not paying taxes on any of the stuff that he's buying. He's buying it at cash, a value, and good for him or her. But and then they're going back to the refinery and just selling it, have it melted down. Boom, it's gone. It's gone forever. And you walked away with what? How much money? But a lot of people don't wear jewelry nowadays. But I will say this about gold. Gold is an international currency. I mean, I could go to Japan, and if I run out of money, I could go to a pawn shop, and I can pawn my gold, not even sell it in Japan. Not every country in the world has pawn shops, but just about every single one of them do. I mean, any of the major ones, that is. Not any third world countries. But even then, there's shops, you know. You got Billy Gibbons. Maybe you don't know who that is. The guitar player from ZZ Top. You know, goes to Africa and finds boxes, stacked upon boxes of 1950s Fender Strats. If you don't know what that is, that's one of the most copied guitar in the world, and he's finding new old stock, meaning it's new, it's never been sold before, but it's still from 1950, brand new in the box. Who knows what those sell for? And he buys all of them, you know. So, when you're buying and selling, it doesn't matter what it is. You always want the edge up on what you're going to buy it for. And I hate to say it, but a lot of these people, it's not necessarily that they're in a hard place. They just need some money. And they have this disposable piece, this item. And a lot of them don't know that much about it. And I just love it when guys go, well, how much is gold an ounce right now? Well, it's pretty irrelevant to what you could even tell them. It doesn't matter. I don't know. I would just keep it real with the customers. Let's see if we can get one of these off real quick. Let's see if I have to adjust my levels.
Please like and subscribe
Oh, yeah.
and share so I can think my dad is cool.
Oh, yeah. Jesus. He's using us kids again. So, again, we might get to the loop or whatever. Diamonds is a whole nother story. Again, you can get these kits really cheap. Again, you have to buy them all separately. Just get you an acid kit. Get you some jeweler's files. I think the acid kit was under $15 on eBay. The jeweler's files were something like $6 to $7. The scales, you could get a more expensive scale, but you could still buy them for $15 to $20. And then you don't have that much invested. I think this loop, actually it's a lot better loop than at the store that I worked at. That was a couple bucks. I paid a little bit extra for it. Maybe it was $3. I don't remember. But it was all insignificant to the profit that can be made. And again, there are algorithms to how you pay for certain things. But just keep it simple. You know, and you got to remind these people that come into your store or a store you work for, you're a business. And that means you're in the business of making money. And that is what it boils down to. And you guys got to make some money for either if you're the owner or if you're working for an owner. You have to show them that you're worth whatever your hourly wage is. And you should be trying to make that every single day for that store. I appreciate everybody that likes and subscribes on YouTube and iTunes. You guys have a good weekend. Again, take care. I appreciate everybody out there that watches and listens.
Can it be? so simple then?
Got me thinking, I remember the time.
Can it be that it was all so simple then?
Ain't no changing what's left.
Can it be that it was all so simple then?
Because we all race against death.
Can